Welcome back, everyone, to our weekly stock market show. And this week we have a ton to talk about. So we're going to start off with looking at key levels of S&P 500 and Mag 7s, and we'll be looking at multiple datas, sentiment data, as well as dark pools, and a lot of economic data for next week. So let's get started. So for this week, let's take a look at the sectors first. You can see we are getting rotations into the tech sector this week. So this is the weekly heat map for the performance of this week. And that's a good sign because tech sector is a risk on sector. And you see healthcare right here and consumer durables are risks off. So is energy. And so this is seeing the outflows from these three sectors into the more risk on sectors are what we want to see when we do hit a bottom. So that's a good sign so far. But let's see if we're going to get any kind of follow through this coming week, or is this just a cat bounce? As of the fear and greed index, we're still extreme fear. I talked about this many weeks, that we can stay in extreme fear, and it's just not something we would use to buy, because these only work well when it's in a strong bull market, in a strong uptrend, and you buy those dips when it's extreme fear. But currently, we are not in that kind of environment, so we'll just look at this as a something like where it's kind of like a capitulation move, something like, last week we had a 62% in this AIM sentiment data, and we have been in the high 50s for I think 6 weeks now. So we likely are marking a temporary bottom at least, and you see these people capitulating, and we are a little bit more bullish this week after the bounce we had this week. So as in terms of economic data, not that much next week. You can see just core retail sales and Fed Powell speaking. Let's see if he talks about the bond market or anything kind of, we kind of had bonds slightly breaking this week, almost breaking. And then so we'll see. We're still at those levels that if he makes another couple legs down, that's going to create some problems. And job claims and Good Fridays, nothing there. So earnings for me next week. We have a couple more banks reported. So, and on Monday, but for me, I'll be more interested in ASML and TSM and Netflix. So these are the three tech that's going to report first. ASML and TSM is a semiconductor sector. So these two would be influenced, since semiconductor sector is the most beat up at the moment. We want to see it rally the most when we get that bounce going with the techs, because that's the most risk on sector. And first big tech would just be Netflix. And in terms of dark pool activities, you can see, so on the charts here, right? Let's zoom in here on SPY. So Thursday, we got that big bounce, right? And for me, I personally think a lot of big money hedge funds, they were caught off guard, slightly on the wrong side. Either they weren't in the market yet, or they were on the wrong side. So because it was such a news-driven event and it happened so quickly, right? We were just kind of slow grinding here, right? Next thing you know, we just move, right? This candle was 15-minute candle. So essentially, within 15 minutes, hedge funds don't have that kind of time to get in, right? They're placing billions of orders, millions and billions. So they need time to kill. Not like retail, where we're retail traders, we can just market order in. It wouldn't even move the book at all, right? So hence, I think that dark pool coming in, in hindsight, obviously it's a sell, right? It came in right at the top of, which is the largest print. One just means the largest print it's ever printed in SPY, which is insanely big. So that was a sell, right? We got that pullback on Thursday, and I think this is where they start to accumulate a little bit, get back to their position, because they push it down on purpose, right? This was a significant drop. It doesn't look big on the chart, but it's a 6.3%. We almost got the circuit breaker here on Thursday as well. And I think this is where they start to build that base coming in. So if on Monday or Tuesday, we break above right here, like this key level where all that dark pool was, I think we're making another leg up. So let's keep an eye watch on this level. Very, very key. Just around this zone, around this 534 to this, obviously 545. We've got to break the highs. Then we'll also confirm a trend as well. Continuation of the 4-hour uptrend. right? Currently, we are in a far uptrend, right? We marked the lows on the SPY right here. Didn't make a new low, so that's a higher low. Broke above the prior high, so that's a higher high. So we have 4-hour uptrend right here. And so now we want to, this is pretty much Thursday was almost like a back test of this, right? Range where we had been trading. So let's see if this can break above. If we can break above here, then I'm looking at closer up to around this 558, right? This whole cluster of volumes traded before we had that tariff news that brought us down like 15%. So we might get something like this, maybe slow grind, and then we break above. Then we'll be looking over here, right? Which will also coincide with this resistance, right? This all-time high resistance, resistance, resistance. So 3 breaks. When we do come up to it around here, right? 54, which coincides with this entire sideways range. So likely some kind of pullback here will be met by some sellers around this level resistance. And as well as you can see, same thing, right? On Thursday, right? Qs had that dark pool, second biggest at the top. But then we sold off on Thursday. And then we had some dark pools coming in as well. So I think that's the buy on Thursday, right? That we talked about here, where they start to accumulate a little bit. But we'll have to see if if we can't break above here, right? We come up, then come down, and then break below this low, then that might be a sell. But we can also tighten up as well, become like a tiny range, doesn't break the low, and then tighten up right into like an equilibrium, and then see which way it breaks after that. So there's a couple scenarios here based on those reads. For now, bulls are sitting okay. We have this 4-hour trend back test and still holding at this given moment. Obviously, news, right? Any kind of news is gonna really just hammer whichever way it wants to hammer. And overall, we hit a longer term support as well. Let's zoom out to the weekly chart. I'll show you guys. So we look at this low, right, and this low. So, and then this civet low, right? This 2022 capitulation low, right down there. Yeah, 2022 March, right into this October low where we had that couple months pullback, right? And then right here we had that November pullback, and then pretty much perfectly coincides with this low. So we are at a longer term support, right? Since 2022 low. Doesn't mean it's gonna hold forever here, but getting that bounce from here initially, it makes sense, right? We'll talk about this monthly chart as well, right? We're coming from the all-time highs, one entire move down. We don't have any monthly downtrends yet. We're looking for that monthly lower high at the moment to see if we shape that up. But yeah, I said there's a lot to talk about this week. But in terms of Fibonacci retracement, right, top of the move, measures the bottom of the move, we bounced over 50% of this move now already. So that is starting to favor the bulls that we may come from a weekly uptrend back to their favor. So if we do come up and test this 545, let's see, was it around this 554-ish zone where I talked about earlier, that resistance right here, right, this sideways range, 557-ish, 55, yeah, around those 557-ish level. And then pull back, right? Then we have so much room for that weekly uptrend. Let's say we pull back all the way down here to 530 and then break above. Then we potentially may shape a weekly uptrend back to bull's favor. If we get a weekly uptrend back to bull's favor, I think we're coming back to test this prior structure right here. So there might be a chance that we come back up closer to 565, just to back test this structure. And if we reject from that structure, then that's that monthly potential monthly lower high that I talked about here. So a lot to shape up in the next couple of weeks to see which way wins out, actually, between this battle zone. So yeah, so let's take a look at the Qs. Q, similar idea. We broke the monthly support, right? But just kind of peaked under it, came back up. The longer term support for Qs aren't as clear, but I like to go off of SPY as more because SPY is, I can see it's 2020 too low, right? Here. We're not even near it yet, right? We're still like what? 15% away from it. While the SPY already bounced off of it. I like to go the SPY more because SPY includes more sectors. This is just the tech. So currently, similar idea, right? We have a 4-hour uptrend. You can see we held it as well. Higher low and then higher high. And then this was the back test, right? You see all these wick, upper wick, resistance, back test. Now it's acting as support, so it's a good sign. So that level is very key for me. So as long as bulls hold above 450, bulls are okay. Let's see if they break that. Same thing, right? We saw that dark pool coming in right here, right? So let's see. And we got some coming in right here. So currently we're above this price. We are below this one. And you can see right at the end of the day, for like 3 hours, we just could not get over it, right? Where that dark pool area was right there. So we need to get over that for some kind of bullish follow through. Otherwise, we might just tighten up right into a tiny range, come down lower. And we want to hold above here because of that other print on the dark pool as well. So we're kind of just stuck in a sandwich at this moment between here and here, two big prints. So let's see which way it breaks. Then we'll know if likely this was a sell, this was a buy. So let's see who kind of wins out over time. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the Meg 7s to give us more clues if the Qs are going to bounce more or not. All right, so Meta came down to 81. So this low, right, makes sense. This low is, right, this entire structure that we built for months, right? What is beneath this, right? Nothing. If we break below this 450 zone, right, look at this. All gaps, no volume. It would just be an easy flush to like 350s, right? So it makes sense for the bulls to hold this zone, right? There wasn't as much support along here, right? Versus this whole thing was built for like what? February to September, right? That's a lot more months, 6 months, over half a year than just this week, right? Not much going on here. So it makes sense to back test this and actually hold it. But we're going to play some offense here, right? We are right underneath this high where we broke out from. Yeah, we got above it on, obviously everybody got above it on Wednesday, a huge pop, but now we're beneath it. So bare minimum, I want to see us break at least above 541 right there. We should be an easy push to at least 566. We can break above 551. And then once we push up there, we're dealing with this sideways structure and this one right here. So, which is where we rejected from on Friday as well. So we can get above these levels, then we're looking back up closer to 600 mark again. And for bears, you probably want to come back down to retest. This is 514 zone. But so far, holding okay, right? It's not as strong on Friday. I'll say it was one of the weakest one on Friday, but we are still in a 4-hour uptrend. We're kind of just back testing again. Bulls are still holding. I think it's just, but if the market picks back up, I think Meta will likely come up a little bit. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. Yeah, similar structure. Probably just a tiny range, very clear, right? You draw something like this. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. There'll just be a double, triple bottom here. So yeah, let's see which way it breaks. Lower high, lower high, lower high, triple bottom. This is kind of like a descending triangle. Holding, same idea with Meta. Holding here of the back test of this prior move. Resistance now becomes support. So let's see if your bulls can play offense. So if it plays offense, then I'm looking back up closer to this red line would be around 270. If we can break above Thursday's high, or Thursday's high, pretty much same high, then we'll be looking up 270. For bears, crack below these lows, Thursday, Friday's low, then we're back below this all-time low structure. I'm not all-time low, 52-week low. Then we'll be looking back again to see if it tests 217. If it does break Thursday and Friday's low. Still stuck in the middle, kind of. So Amazon, you can see charts better looking than Meta in terms of just the last few days. I'm not talking about the overall chart. Overall chart, Meta obviously looks better. But it makes sense. This black line is roughly the low of the structure, right? This 2020 to 2022 is 2 years of freaking structure right here. Excuse my language, but 2 years of support built there, right? We came back down, right? It should act as some kind of support, which did in August as well. So it's second test here. Move this up a little bit. Yeah, and the bounce is a lot better, right? You can zoom in on this 15-minute, right? You can see it's cracking Thursday's highs already, while Meta is still within it. Right? You can see on the candles as well, where Meta is still trading like down here, while Amazon is starting to crack it. So that's a good sign. So we get this guy to come back up to test this, where all that dark pool level is on the Qs on Wednesday. We have to see back test this 192 zone, see if we can break above it. Right, very clear resistance, right? Support. Broke down from it. Wednesday's big move up right to it. Right, now it's acting as a resistance. So see if this 192 breaks. If we crack above that, then we're looking back up closer to I'll say around this high, around this 200 mark first, right? It's going to be the 200-day moving average is also at the $200 mark for Amazon. So it's going to actually right around this zone right here. It's around this 203 and 200. A little bit here as well in this 197s. But we need to really crack above 192 first. Clear resistance. Clear support now acting as resistance. All right, Google, let's see if it picked up a little bit here. All right, so after being the weakest for this entire drop down, it looks like we doing a little bit better as well now on this bounce. You can see this green candle is almost over Thursday's high. Right, look at this. It's almost a little bit almost outperforming Amazon. Right, this move up. Meta is trading right in here on Friday. Amazon's trading right over here, and Google's almost over its Wednesday's highs already. So that's a good sign. But we are coming up to same idea, right? You can see Amazon supports turning to resistance. Google's support also turning to resistance. Resistance right here. Resistance right here. So for me, if we can get above this 161, 162 zone right here, then we're looking back up closer to this 168 zone. So see if the bulls can take it up there or not. And for bears, right, crack below this low, this 150 low. Then we're looking back down to this 145 again. Yeah, if we can break about Wednesday's low, then I'm looking back up closer to this 165, 167 zone, which is a good sign. We're starting to form structures now, right? Finally, we have some structures going for these mega cap techs, right? This entire way down, we don't, right? Lower high, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And finally, you have some kind of 4-hour uptrend structure right here, right? So it's definitely a lot better than anything we've seen so far. But a lot of more works for bulls to do. Similar idea, right? We zoomed into the 4-hour for Microsoft. On this entire way down. lower high, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. No structures at all. And finally got a big bounce, right? Monday. And then now the Wednesday news, boom, we have 4 uptrend. And Microsoft is breaking above for our pivots, right? Now it's also almost breaking Wednesday's high. So a couple of lead bulls here. Meta currently lead bear, but Microsoft it's also kind of a lead bull. So key resistance, right? We are back testing this entire structure here again, where it broke down from before the news. So if we can break above Wednesday's high, which is pretty much this structure's high, right? Break above here. I think we're gonna something like what? Let's see. The 1.5% away from it. So if we break Wednesday's high, we got another 1.5% away from this resistance, right? Triple top here. Crack above that, and then looking back up 400. If we crack above that, looking back up to my red line here, which is this really long-term support we've been looking at together. Bounce, 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 bounce. Breakdown from it, back test as resistance, resistance, resistance. So twice over there already. So support like 5 times, now acting as resistance twice. So very clear support and resistance area. So if we do come back up to it, it's likely going to act as resistance again. But we are still like what 8% away from it. So one step at a time, break above Wednesday's high, and try to break above this 380 to 400 mark. Sorry, 398 to 400 mark, right above here. For bears, cracked below this, obviously Wednesday's low, similar idea. Then we're looking back down closer to this 160. 360. All right, let's take a look at Apple. So yeah, no techno analysis would have seen this coming. Similar idea, right? But I mean, resistance was pretty clear. Resistance, 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 resistance. Couldn't get over it. Then we had that news, obviously news driven, right? And you kind of see this coming. It looked like it wanted to break, to be honest. On before the tariff news, everything was setting up to have a bull break, even after hours. So, but then it kind of cracked through everything after that. But if we zoom out to the weekly chart, right, it's this. It was just a back test of this, right? This balance zone, break above, balance zone, break above, balance zone, break below. Now we're back testing here. So this is the first back test here. Pretty much to the tick. Love the structure. You can see this purple line, just the point of control. If you guys study volume profiles, you guys would know what it is, but it just means that on this whole chart, this area is the most volume traded at this moment. You can obviously scroll to different areas, right? If you scroll out down, then this becomes the point of control. You can see this is the most volume traded right here. But that being said, right, similar idea. Look how all this volume here traded, which is this structure, and it held support, which makes sense. So this might ship up a head and shoulders in the monthly chart, but we have to see how, right, the size of this retracements first before it tops out. Render from the top of the move. So far, still a bear flag, but we're not even close to this 38.2% mark yet. So if we break above here, then the monthly bear flag is negated. If we can break above 214, which is a 50% mark of this entire move down, if we can bounce over 50%, then there's hope that this monthly head and shoulder is going to get negated. That we may have a chance to form a monthly uptrend back to bull's favor. That one step at a time, it's going to take more than 2 months to form those structures. So for now, let's take a look here. Zoom in. Apple actually made a new low on Wednesday. Right, Monday's low, Apple made a new low versus everyone else made a higher low. right? So Apple is not in a 4-hour uptrend yet. So it's the only one, but it's playing a little bit catch up, right? You can see it's literally right underneath Wednesday's high versus everyone else is like down here, down here, down here, kind of getting close, but not close. But Apple's on top. So it's playing a little bit catch up because this drop here, right? Everyone else was like this, right? Higher low, where it didn't make a new low, but Apple made a new low. So doing a little bit catch up over here on this bounce. So if Apple can confirm breaking Wednesday's high on Monday or Tuesday, then it will confirm its 4-hour uptrend. Then I'm back up looking at potentially this green line again around this 207 mark right here. Gonna be resistance for me, right? This is where we look at that support, break down from it. Now it's gonna coincide with this one as well, right? Resistance, which is gonna be all at this 207 area, 207 to 205 area. Yeah, so let's see if we can crack above that, which is 200, right? Break above 200, then we're looking at 207. For bears, break below this Wednesday's low, similar idea, and this around this 183. Then we might look for back to test this 177. All right. Oh yeah, I forgot about Nvidia. So Nvidia here, that's the same thing, point of control bounce. Right, if you zoom out to the weekly, this is the only structure left before any kind of structure along the way. So after a 42.3% drop, and you ask me, are we gonna hold this structure? I'll probably be like, yeah, it's very unlikely that we're gonna just flush, right, break through the last structure and then get another like 38% move down, which would be a 66% drop from the highs, right? So yeah. So this is, you can also see the amount of volume traded in this area, right? Which also probably came in here as well, right? You can see this volume candle, but before this volume candle, this was the only area as well where there is volume because of that structure. You can see here, these candles just go straight up. There's no sideways structure built in the way. See how thin this is. So this was pretty much bulls do or die zone, right? Doesn't mean that we can't break it, right? We could come down, make a monthly lower high, then lower low, break it, right? Given something in the economy breaks or something, or a recession, whatever heck it is, right? There's always a narrative if something like that happens, right? But we got to get that bounce first. So, and to see where the size of that retracement. So currently we are almost at the 50% mark. So that's a good sign. We had a pretty big bounce. And personally, the structure of the chart is actually holding a lot better than the other ones, right? Most of them almost been a new low, right? Their higher low was almost like a double bottom that made a higher high, right? You can see Nvidia barely dropped on that day. Same thing on Thursday, barely gave back most that much of it. Back tested tick of it. Now we're coming back up. So if we can break above Wednesday's high, and looking back up closer to this 116, break above that, we're looking at 125. Yeah. Just under resistance at the moment. Resistance. So break above that, we're gonna get clear. Break above Friday's high, we're gonna go straight to 116. Break above 116, we're gonna go to 124. And we can break above 124. It's gonna be a longer term downtrend resistance trend line break. Right, couldn't get over here since January. 2, 3, 4. See if we can break above this 124. Very, very key. because we got 124. We're back up testing this all-time high structure. But look at how thick it is. How much resistance there is above us. So I personally think it will get to 124, but after that, I don't know if we can break above it or not. Really depend on the market. I know overall news, but still 13% away. All right, that is all I got for you guys. Long video. Have a great rest of you guys' day. If you're to like, share, and subscribe, you guys made this far, we're always appreciated. Support the channel. If you guys are looking for more technical analysis video, learn how to trade technically, check out the Patreon link. And I will do the commodities update video tomorrow. Yeah, take care.